before. Can you give us an idea, Ian, perhaps, of what actually goes on in a CrossFit session, and how is it different to, say, something like circuit training?
Well, okay, so I don't run a CrossFit gym, but I have tremendous respect for what is done in CrossFit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding of what goes on in CrossFit gyms, it's constantly varied, high-intensity training. And they also include really complex movements like, Olympic lifting movements like the snatch and the clean and jerk and things like that.
Okay.
There you go. You can see it on the video.
So how have you adapted it in your gym and why?
Right. So there are a lot of similarities, and I was a little bit nervous coming into here because I was wondering if you guys were gonna want us to argue about this, but we actually have a lot in common. So what we do at Ritual is high-intensity interval training with functional movements, except we've taken out the highly complex movements because, in my opinion, I don't really feel like everyday people need to be learning how to execute a highly technical lift like Olympic lifting.
This comes to sort of where sort of the CrossFit has a bit of controversy around it. You talk about the high intensity, you talk about the complex movements, Olympic lifts, clean and jerk, snatch, those kind of things that people that may not have a sporting background, suddenly they go into CrossFit and suddenly they're doing these kind of movements. And this is where the injuries come about. We heard one recently, a guy has damaged his spine in the United States from doing one of these movements, dropped a bar. It was a sort of a freak accident, if you like.
He's paralyzed now.
He's paralyzed from the waist down. Now, he's a practitioner, he's a trainer as well. If it could happen to him, it could happen to a beginner as well, surely.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was exactly what it was. It was a freak accident, right? Freak accidents occur in most professional sports, especially if you're competing at such elite levels. For example, in the UFC, Anderson Silva breaking his leg. It's hard for us to immediately link that with everyday CrossFitters because that's I
But
think.
would you say there's a higher chance of that happening when you're doing something like CrossFit?
Well, I wouldn't say so. I would say CrossFit would be as safe or as dangerous as any other sport. There's a difference between using it as fitness and using it as competition, right? And
but is there a difference though? Because in CrossFit gyms, the aspect of competition is there in every workout because everything is to time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything is to time, but from personal experience as a CrossFitter, all the pressure usually is very positive. It's more of encouragement rather than negative pressure. But some people, most of the negative imagery coming to CrossFit, I think, are in people that are taking it as very competitive and then not listening to their body, and then hence it hurts.
But this is the thing. So it's everyone in CrossFit, there has like a camaraderie culture, I understand. They're all encouraging people to push themselves and to push themselves. But is this not the problem then, that it's hard to do CrossFit in moderation to keep yourself safe because you're constantly in an environment that's pushing your body harder and harder?
Not really, though, and I feel like I have to, take the other side on this, and be on his side with this too, because a lot of people don't realize that they should appreciate CrossFit as a sport, and the competition, you can push yourself hard as you want to, and if a good coach sees an athlete or a general everyday person just trying to get fit pushing too hard, and if a good coach sees it, a good coach pulls them back. And I know a lot of good CrossFit coaches who do that, and if you look at the system in and of itself, and I've looked into CrossFit a lot, there's a lot of great stuff coming from there, and it's a few bad coaches, a few bad eggs, that have sort of
So is that the
ruined
key then, getting a good coach and getting good basics and doing it right? There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. So
Definitely, as with any sport, there's good coaches and bad coaches, and a lot of bad rabbits. I think because CrossFit is expanding so rapidly, it's becoming so popular that more and more gyms are opening up. It's hard to then keep track of which gyms are great, which gyms are bad.
So what kind of personality type do you think CrossFit suits? Can you give us an idea? Would I suit something like that?
Well, they need to get to know you first.
To be honest, I'm not really the most competitive type, but what benefits would it bring me?
I think it suits all personalities. I've seen all personalities in the gym. It's definitely something that will help build confidence, but the reason why I like it is, number one, it's always different, so that it provides a challenge. Number two, that it is very time efficient, so you can fit it into your day. And like I said, as a chiropractor, it is something that will help improve your physical fitness, but as well as your general health.
Well, as a chiropractor, what kind of injuries have you seen, though, associated with CrossFit?
Funny you should say that because most people associate injuries in CrossFit with acute.
Associated with CrossFit.
Funny you should say that because most people associate injuries in CrossFit with acute mechanical injuries, falling over, having a barbell land on them. I see more of repetitive micro traumas that people don't address straight away. Because a lot of CrossFitters, as well as any other athlete, like to look after what they eat, how they exercise, proper warm up, warm down, cool down. But they don't. That's active care. Most people don't look into passive public health professional like a chiropractor. Take care of their niggles, maintain their body care. Whereby having a proper health professional like a chiropractor, take care of their niggles, maintain their body, so that they prevent injury in the first place.
So when you're saying repetitive, the term you used just now, these repetitive injuries, can you give an example of what that would be?
Yeah, for example, a lot I see is low back injuries, right? People who have a restricted spine, which is your foundation for the rest of your body, if that's left there to, as an ache or even just stiffness, over time, you're under constant loading or even, swimming, it's going to cause further damage.
Well, Ian, what kind of tips do you have for the novice, people just starting out?
Well, the thing about people who are trying to get in shape is people just don't have the time these days. And that's the thing, the reason why we set up the workouts ritual the way that we did, we took out these highly complex things, is because, the reason why we set up the workouts ritual the way that we did, we took out these highly complex things, is because truthfully, when you come into the gym and we tell you you can get your workout done in 20 minutes and leave in 30 minutes, most people don't really have the time for more than that these days, and I completely agree with what Jeff was saying. You have to, if you want to do the highly complex strength and power movements, you have to be very, very ready to do the preparatory work and also the passive care work after. And I'm a firm believer in that. As someone who used to be a competitive athlete, you have to have your mind in the right place, and the truth of the matter is most people, they're professionals, they have other things to do, and they have families. They don't have time to do all the preparatory stuff and the stuff after. So one step at a time would be the advice that I give to.
Okay, and a holistic approach to make sure you're taking care of all the different aspects.
And eat well.
Eat well.
Yes, diet, of course, is a big part of it. How big a percentage would you say diet as well as working out is in terms of keeping fit and stuff like that?
73%.
73%. I like it. A very specific. 73%. I like it. A very specific number. And if it's 73%, we should spend a lot more time talking about that, I think.
And I would also say enjoy the workout, right? That's the main thing. Not just too focused on achieving goals.
Yes.
That's what I say anyway.
Thanks very much, guys, for coming in and speaking to us today.
Thank you.
There you have it, the do's, the don'ts of the increasingly popular CrossFit workout, a holistic approach to the way forward in moderation, if that's possible. And with any exercise regime, be sure to exercise the necessary caution before you plunge into it.
Well, so Dr. Jeff Lin and founder of Ritual Gym Ian Tan for shedding light on that. We're heading for a quick break. World News is straight ahead with updates on the Syrian peace talks in Geneva.
A review also on Robbie Williams'